I don't, and I'm a super fan. So let's do like Michael Scott does. Close your eyes. Picture a leader. What comes to mind? Okay, open your eyes. You guys actually closed them, which is amazing. Michael Scott could not get Jim to close his eyes, so I think very accomplished. So who comes to mind? Do you imagine leaders who are influential, leaders that you want to emulate, leaders that you want to be just like? Now, when I think of leaders, I think of my past executive directors, and I think these things. I think they're money hungry, they're moody, and they're very mean-spirited. I've been in meetings with executive directors and thought, what is leadership? Because if it's this, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. This is bad. And my poor parents, I would come home after long days in the office with executives screaming, and I would tell them all these stories, and they would say, "Ay, mija, está salada," which means you're very unlucky. So when I think about leaders, as we read through our literature, I think of two people, two very influential leaders I have had in my life. Dr. Noorani Abdullah Welch and Laurel Roselle. I think of them as differentiated leaders. Primarily because while I worked under them, we experienced several crises. And during these crises, I saw some traits in their leadership styles that I thoroughly enjoyed, and they were the reason why I stuck to my job year after year, because I was employed in these organizations for several years. These were the leaders that kept me there. So during this, while we're reading about leaders and leaderships, that got me thinking about trust, because those two ladies that I mentioned before, I had a lot of trust in them. So Google Scholar pointed me to this research entitled Trust in Direct Leaders and Top Leaders, a Trickle-Up Model. And in this research, they're saying that they can demonstrate that individuals' trust in their direct leaders inspires trust in top leaders. So during these crises with my direct leaders, I mentioned that these were some of the leaders that I noticed and I deeply appreciated. For example, Dr. Noorani Abdullah Welch, while we were going through a crisis with our organization, she talked to us, her staff, and said, "I will write all of you a letter of reference. You just let me know, because right now things are a mess." She cared about our future, and she wanted us to be in the best position possible. So she was very transparent with us. Laurel Roselle, this is a story I can tell you is fresh from today. Laurel Roselle is my current administrator. Our organization is in crisis, and they were about to fire an entire department. Just 4 or 5 people that were going to be gone. And my director said, "If you will allow me, I will be their new leader." She saved all of their jobs because she cares about people. She really puts people first. So with all of these things that I've learned from these fabulous leaders, when it was my time to lead during a crisis, I led by example. I would be very transparent with my team. So there was a new policy that came down from the higher-ups that said, we want to increase team morale. So we are going to enforce scheduled lunches. So suddenly my team all of my team members had scheduled lunches, and they would have to sit with people that they may or may not have liked. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to enforce this? I don't believe it. I don't think this is going to be very impactful in their day-to-day. So I said to my team, you know what? This is kind of silly. I know us. I know our team. And I think this isn't going to be beneficial. Someone below, we're not going to do this. You have your lunch. Take your 30 minutes and sit with your friends. De-stress. Take your time during your lunch. It's your time. I thought, oh, I'm gonna win them over with this one for sure. They're gonna love me. And they did for a little bit, but it turned out to be a massive, massive failure. Because according to the research that I pulled up earlier, the group of people that I had on my team were not this. The intervention that I wanted to use was geared for people who were low collectivists. So they valued individual freedoms. People like me who thought your 30 minutes are your time. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to do with it what I say is beneficial. That's your time. Unfortunately, my team, they were high collectivists. So they valued, or they desired to keep the peace, and they valued loyalty. So when they got the chance, they talked to my direct leader and told them that I said, oh, you can't, she said, well, you don't have to take our scheduled lunches anymore. Because they realized before I did that the leadership valued collectivist behaviors. My bad, I did not catch that. So, while this was kind of a failure on my part, what I realized was that front line differentiated leaders may have great, fantastic impact on individualist and collectivist employees. And this kind of impact can create top leader support and raise employee performance. So consider this as we work through our consultant projects. What would consistent intentional time with a differentiated leader look like to your development as an employee? So Michael Scott, I would kind of say, is a differentiated leader. He's a transformational leader. There's a YouTube video on it explaining it better than I could. So can you imagine what it would look like if you had some of that time with Michael Scott? You'd learn a lot, wouldn't you? That's it. Thank you.
How do you think it went?
I think it went well. You know what? Last time I was a lot more nervous than this time. And I felt like my energy was a lot more higher last time because of that. It's just interesting.
What do you think you can work on?
You know what, you guys? How annoying is this? But like preparation, right, is everything. So if I could have just prepared with a little more time, with a lot more time, I would have felt, I would have been able to give you guys a lot more of that energy.
What prevented you from preparing that bit more?
Time management. This weekend threw me for a loop.
I know that one of your supervisors and stuff. I think it would have been great if I could have like seen like a picture of you and your supervisors or something. Maybe just something to make it more like personal, just to tie it more. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
That's a good
just like
idea.
if they were comfortable with like
Yeah.
their pictures being shown or something, but
Oh my gosh,
just tie it more.
you just mentioned that and I forgot that was something I wanted. I wanted to put pictures because these are like fantastic women.
Mhm.
They've been very influential.
I would have loved
That
to
would have
see.
been nice. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, again, you have very good command of your voice while you're speaking. I think there was at some point in the presentation where I felt I wasn't as engaged. I would love to see how you can use that really good command of your voice to bring it back to the presentation. Make sure that you bring that point back.
Energy felt a little low.
Little.
Yeah. I could, as soon as you guys were disengaged, I felt it. Maybe that, I'm so sorry. Yeah. It wasn't I wasn't getting the feedback or like the vibes. I could feel the vibes weren't like up here in my presentation. Yeah. So you felt that, yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, when I was thinking, it wasn't as good as your first presentation, but I still was like, Brenda's a really good speaker. So it's not that you're not good. Like don't go there. Preparation can change based on life circumstances. We get that.
Yeah.
But you're still like there are some really compelling things with the way you speak that I'm like, man, I need to learn how to do that. Like the way that you use your language and you change your volume and just some of your mannerisms are really just naturally engaging, I think. Or maybe it's planned, I don't know. It's one of the two.
Like you do have the skills to, I feel like you have the skills to notice that the classroom might feel a little disengaged. I know that you can say, notice in the moment and say, okay, I want to bring them back and do something
That's
with,
what, yeah,
with how good you are to bring them back.
yeah,
That seems good.
I can do it.
Quick question. How much do you like this topic?
Oh, this is very interesting to me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I find. Yeah, why? Did you not feel that?
Or at the same time, I know you're.
No.
Give yourself a
Brilliant.
mark.
No. I'm being serious. Because last time you used fear setting as your title, right? And it has that mysterious effect to it, right? But this time it's like leadership and what's trust has to do with it. I just don't feel as excited, and it's not as mysterious because it's too revealing, like leadership in your face, Yeah. So yeah, and then this presentation is very different from your previous one. It's way less dramatic, less emotional. This is more of a personal and stern presentation. I'd say it's not a bad thing because you showed us that you're capable of doing professional, like more professional presentations as well. Yeah, not just the theatrical ones. Yeah, and I like the references that you put at the bottom of the slides. It gives it more power, or just more empirical evidence to what you're saying. So maybe it's just me, but it's really hard for me to relate to the names of the leaders you mentioned. Yeah, I was following the presentation when you were talking about like the Spanish phrase. Yeah. But then when you mentioned the names, I got lost. I got a bit lost. Yeah. Like who are these people? And then maybe just at least name a person that we could relate to. That would be better. But yeah.
Thank you.
Just a really quick comment on the Spanish stuff. For like Spanish people from Spain, you pretty much sound like you're salty only. So I'm salty.
That's
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
But
yeah.
I have no idea that means that you're unlucky.
I didn't know that either.
I've never heard it.
Que te echan la sal. Someone
Oh,
throws,
like when you put the salt down.
like somebody is
throws the
throwing salt at you for bad, so to wish bad luck on you. So then you would say, oh, I'm salty because someone's been doing something salty.
I didn't know.
Ah, go on.
The beginning of your presentation, when you had us close our eyes, that was good. I mean, it's a captivating moment. I think you'll see in the video, people had their eyes closed while you're giving your presentation because you never told us open your eyes.
I did.
Well, it maybe wasn't, you checked the video.
Okay.
Some people may not have heard you. And so they were kind of with their eyes closed and you kept talking and they're kind of like peeking, should I open my eyes now? Like what's going
I
on?
made sure she did.
Yeah. I know, because I could
I
see,
have to put my foot down.
Was it Ryan?
I could see, well, I was listening as
I
well.
thought it was this photo.
I don't know. But anyways, I could see him in the video, like it's on my screen. And so I just see Brian with his eyes closed still. And it just takes more explicit, clear direction when you're doing exercises. As we mentioned earlier, you really have to be commanding in those moments to tell us what to do. And make it clear. Also, the end of your presentation left me a little confused.
Oh, gosh.
You were talking about how Michael Scott is a differentiated transformational leader.
Yes.
And the show is based on the premise of how horrible of a boss he is, and you're trying to sell differentiated transformational leadership in a way. So the two don't go together.
That's why you have to watch that video.
But that wasn't part of your presentation.
I didn't say that.
No, the video wasn't part of your presentation.
Oh.
We don't have the insight you have. We don't have the connections they make in that video. You're referencing something and saying, hey, you should watch this other talk that someone else gave that would clarify everything, and then you end your presentation there. I'm like, wait, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about, and that's the last thing you leave me with? Like, I'm just left guessing. So that part was confusing to me. So yeah, just some clarification for what you're really trying to, because that's when you're really trying to drive home a take-home message, a concluding remark. This is beginnings, peaks, endings. That's all we remember. All the other stuff in the middle will easily be forgotten, but how you leave it right at the end is always what they are going to remember. That's a guaranteed point that you can deliver on, that you know you're going to be remembered by that. So make sure it's strong, that you end, and even when you speak, you know like what you're saying, and you say it loudly when you know. And when you're not quite sure about it yourself, you're quiet. I don't know if you'll notice that in the video, and you'll lean kind of more on the board, and you'll read the board a little more, and you'll kind of say it more softly and quietly and kind of out of the side of your mouth. So pay attention to those things, because they're giveaways, right? Like, oh, she doesn't really know this part. Whether it's the rehearsal or the content, I don't know, but pay attention to how you carry yourself, because you do deliver well. You speak really well. You're captivating and commanding of a room. And then those instances where you're not, you're like, hey, wait, where'd you go? Like you're so present the rest of the time. So I would say pay particular attention to those times, figure out what it is in that, and fix it. But you gave a great presentation as always. Thank you.
It's a really good video, guys.
I just wanted to